How do we start it though? Just like that, hey? Hey, Daryl.
Yeah. Hey, Jeremy, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Daryl. Good to see you again. You're here. I don't know if anybody noticed or if you haven't watched our first episode yet, you can go back and see it. But when we were done
Yeah.
recording, Daryl had mentioned that it kind of looked like I might have looked like a kind of Disney character there with the way I had my discs set up. So in honor of that, I've come prepared with
There you
my
go.
R2D2 ears
That's
that I
almost,
picked up.
that's almost perfect. Those discs,
It act-
they look like they're just sitting on the shelf right now.
well, I'm not going to wear this the whole episode. I just thought you might get a kick out of that.
Okay.
Now, I know I threw this on you. We didn't discuss this. So put on your
Yeah.
thinking cap here and shoot some
Yeah.
holes in my idea.
The bit of a pause there was me taking a second to try and think the pros and the cons.
And all you can
I,
think of is how wonderful the idea is, right?
I yeah, we'll end the episode there.
Yeah, no.
Or should I say, it could be partly my catchphrase? That I like your idea, but you're wrong.
Ouch.
I
So
don't
what?
know. I don't necessarily love the idea. I'm not going to say I hate it. I'm just
Okay.
trying to think why I don't like it.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Chain Out, the disc golf podcast for Canada. Nope, I'm not doing that one. I got lost. I got lost.
I could feel you were like searching for words.
I'm like, I went way beyond the simple thing.
Yeah.
So we'll do it again. 5 seconds. It'll just be simpler. I think what it is I don't know what
Episode 3?
it's episode 3, but do I want to call it the Chain Out or Welcome to Chain Out podcast? Episode 3, I think.
Chain Out Podcast.
Yeah, okay. Because that's how we've got it labeled. So
Yeah.
with you, I'm Jeremy, and with me, as always, is Daryl.
Hello, everybody. How's it going, Jeremy?
Going well, Daryl. How about you? How you feeling, buddy?
I don't know. Can you tell? My voice is. I'm not. I got that bit of a sexy Barry White voice going on, I think.
Oh,
Or
you
just
say sexy Barry White. I was thinking maybe a
the
little Phoebe Buffet smelly cat
baby.
voice there.
Yeah.
Podcasting energy that we've got is like a healing energy. That's what I'm
There
going to
you
say.
go. Yeah. Channeling my inner Phoebe Buffet.
Yeah, there you go. Well, thanks, everybody, and we'll see you on the next one. Until then, till then, Smelly Cat says, chain out.
Chain out.
There for it. But for me, I think what the difference is that if I have an errant shot at Nor'Wester, I'm gonna hit a car. A car is pretty strong. It's gonna my disc is gonna bounce off it. If I have an errant shot at the hills, and
I know where
hit a
you're going.
person, it's gonna bounce off them, but it could do a lot more damage hitting a person. And I feel that those tight
Right.
lines, I'd rather go onto a road and hit a car or hit a truck or something like that than hit an actual person. So that's what I'm gonna use as my deciding factor of why I'd prefer to play Nor'Wester. Plus, Nor'Wester is gonna have the longer distance, all the things that we
Right.
talked about than the hills. But one of those things is I'd rather hit a car than hit a person.
That's a fair.
Hey everyone, welcome to Chain Out Podcast. I'm Jeremy, and with me as always is your favorite co-host, Daryl.
Favorite co-host?
Why, thank you, Daryl and Jeremy. I'm so happy to be on Chain Out Podcast with you and glad that you were able to invite me. I'm really excited to tell you a lot about what oh, I'm not the guest that you were expecting to have on the show tonight? How did you know?
That's the thing. So I had a huge mix,
Yeah.
a whole bunch of different brands, but then I hold a Comet, and then I hold a Buzz, and then I hold a Wasp, or I hold whatever. Name your EMAC Truth or whatever.
Yeah.
They all feel a little bit differently in your head. It's not the same disc, even if
Yeah.
it's virtually the same disc. If you hold an EMAC Truth and a Buzz SS or whatever
Yeah.
you consider to be the same as that, it's not gonna in your head, it's not going to be the same disc. So
Yeah.
Right.
That's such an interesting way to look at it, Jeremy. I've never thought about that. I mean, I know I've spoken. Obviously, Tim said that at one point he had 7 Nate Sexton Firebirds in his bag, and they kind of explain it. Yeah, obviously, the more beat in the disc gets, the more unstable it gets. So that's why they have that. But until Brendan just said it, then like not necessarily having the disc because it beats in, but just having it because it feels the same. You've got the same disc in your hand, you're throwing it, and that's kind of just has hit me there for a second. So it feels like I've just leveled up in my disc golf knowledge now. That's the reason for having multiple discs of the same, because of the feel.
yeah, like I'm not trying to get you to stop buying discs. I just want you to buy more of the exact same disc.
Yeah,
And then
there
if
you
it's
go.
wrong,
Yeah.
you just have to buy more of a different disc.
You want to hear something? I hear there's a secret word on the street. I don't know nothing. But I hear the secret word is horse feeder. But you didn't hear it from me. Yeah, no. So who knows what's going to happen in the spring and summer? Maybe we might go down to 1 every 2 weeks. Maybe we'll
Don't
the quality
talk
won't.
like that.
Who knows what's going to happen? I'm just preempted. I'm just kind of giving ourselves a barrier. What do they say? Under promise and over deliver.
Over deliver. I'm
There
just going to
you go.
over deliver all the time. You
Yeah,
like the
no,
weekly? We're giving you the weekly.
Yeah, you don't have to episode. All right, let's do it. What have you been up to? People don't want to hear our woes of editing. They just want the final product, and this is the final product. So, what have you been up to?
It's easy for you to say, hey, yeah, I'm cool if women play. Oh, it's a women's event. I'm going to go out to this other course and play that weekend. Well, why wouldn't you just give that weekend up and support them?
That's such a good point.
I was thinking
Absolutely.
that the same thing, Jeremy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I know
Well,
It
Kristen
makes
Swirls
total sense
has
as well.
Kristen Swirls, I think, has an event coming up, right?
She's
How
up
many
first.
men?
She's up first.
Yeah.
She's up first. How many men are going to step up and spot? Like when I was in Crownbrook for Crush in 2022, we were flooded. Like the men were running the raffles, they were running the check-in, they were running, giving out, like passing the prizes to the tournament director, they were spotting. They like, it was insane. Like we had so many men out there doing so many great things for the sport. It was just awesome to see the support. I had Crush here. We had guys coming out. We had families coming out. The moms were playing, and the sons and husbands were helping. And I think it's really important. It's very easy to say I'm okay with women playing. It's a little harder to give up your time to support women playing, and that's what speaks volumes. That's the true show of how much you really want them there. Does that? I guess.
Oh yeah, no.
I'm not calling anybody out in particular. I'm just saying from personal experience and noticing the necessity of needing men, especially, to walk the walk. Just don't talk the talk.
Well,
I felt like that was just a light bulb moment that you just mentioned there, because when you were saying it, in my mind, I was thinking, well, it's a women's event, so they don't want that masculinity involved in it because they don't want, the men are here thinking that we can't look after the event. Like that was my mindset. But then when hearing you say that you want men involved because it shows that we're supporting, I looked at it from a different point of view, and I can understand now, actually we should be volunteering. And it's not like we're trying to take over. It's not like we're trying to say you can't run your own event. We're not saying any of that. It's just being involved and doing whatever needs to be done. Like you said, picking up litter, spotting, and anything that happens just to make the tournament run successfully.
And the best thing to do is just reach out to the female TD and say, I want to give up my weekend and help you out. What can I do?
Guess what, Jeremy?
What?
Now our listeners and viewers have a chance to enter their own competition, because, drum roll please, we're announcing our first ever Chain Out podcast competition. Woo, 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 woo. It just sounds like we're a bunch of trains.
Our guest today is an Alberta FPO player. She is a personal coach with Fit Theorem. She is the captain of BR's 2024 ambassador team. She is one of the most positive and energetic people you will meet. She likes to go by the title Heiser Bomb. Hang on, Daryl.
What?
I got to stop the intro, man.
Why? I thought you were doing a good job.
Well, when you have a great guest on like we do today,
Right.
I don't think the standard intro is going to work. I think we need more.
More? How can you
Yeah.
how can we go bigger than that?
I think we need a song, buddy.
A song? It better be a solo song.
Yeah, no, I was going to put you on this spot right away.
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
I'm thinking more of a song. Yeah, are you ready for this? I hope you're ready. For
I'm
this.
ready.
I've been
I'm
working on this
buckled
all
in.
week. All week I've been
Okay.
working on this.
Okay.
All right,
I
so this
expect
is a
nothing less.
song inspired by the great Tom Jones. Here we go. High's a bomb, high's a bomb, high's a bomb hong. Not only can she throw it straight, but she can throw it long. High's a bomb, high's a bomb, high's a bomb hong. It's time to bring her on the show. So Daryl, if you're ready, let's go.
Hey everybody! Welcome to episode 17 of Around. Was that too much?
I love it. I
Is that
love
too-
it.
Do you prefer the monotone, Daryl?
No, I like the
You like
excited
you're
Daryl.
like energetic, Daryl.
I
Well-
get a little nervous when the energetic Daryl is in the room, but I do like it.
I don't know. It's funny we mentioned it earlier. These are non-alcoholic,
Yes,
so I don't know where
exactly.
this energy comes from on ATB.
Sunbrew 0%, not a sponsor.
Exactly. Yet. Welcome to episode 17 of Around the Basket. I am the technical guru, apparently.
Yes.
Wow, maybe some days.
The co-host with the
Daryl.
most.
If you were watching the little intro that we had at the beginning of this, you'll notice that it took 11 episodes for you to call me the co-host, your favorite co-host.
Oh, well, I wasn't sure. I thought maybe, just maybe, the jury was out. We weren't sure yet. At that point, we didn't know if this thing was going to get to double digits even, right?
Right,
We made a
exactly.
big deal about it when it did.
Yeah.
But I wonder how people like that. Did they like... I was really happy. You put together a great show, and I wanted to see the rest of it.
Well, I know. That's only the first, I think I got up to maybe about episode 18.
Okay.
So don't worry, there's going to be a plan for maybe a second and maybe a third version, so that each
Ooh.
week we don't put out the same. Because then what I was thinking is if we just put out the same one each week, then people are going to get bored because they're just going to be watching the same intro each week. So
Yeah.
I'm going to try and mix it up.
And also, too, if we cut it off early like we did tonight, they're going to be like, ah, man,
I just
couldn't
didn't
you...
quite get to the end.
I don't want to hear you guys really talking. I just want to see the highlights.
Yeah, exactly. Well, if you want to see the highlights, go back and watch the episodes. They're all on YouTube.
Yes, there you
But
go.
I'm Daryl, and that's Jeremy.
And welcome to Around the Basket. Last week, we had Casey Hannemeyer join us on the show.
We did.
And we got to hear all about him joining Innovadisc this year, leaving Prodigy, which is a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
And definitely lots of good things to say about both companies. Prodigy was really good to him. Innova is an exciting new chapter.
Yeah.
You know, joining the likes of Sophia Donica, Chris Hartman,
Rebecca Dawn.
I think Craig Sheether maybe too.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah. So
The other person.
Nico
Yeah, no. The person in...
in the thing of the place
the
of
guy.
the time
The
on that show.
Martin Hendel.
Yes, Marty Hendel.
Marty Hendel is also on Team as well.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you really want an interesting story about how Casey almost got into a fight with a Finnish player,
yes.
go back and listen to episode 16 because it's all on there.
Yeah, and he's also got the other thing I wanted to just shout out again for anybody listening is he has his Rocket Bear tournament that he puts on every year, and that's going to be happening out in Cranbrook, so there's still time to sign up for that and be part of it. And the funds that he raises from that tournament, I believe, will help him with any touring or anything that he's doing that way.
I should imagine so. Yeah.
Yeah, if not, he's putting it to some other good cause as well. So.
Yeah. But that was on last week's episode.
Mm-hmm.
Who have we got lined up on this week's episode, Jeremy?
On this week's episode, so
Yeah.
this is almost like a parked pro night for Chain Out. The tie-ins
Right.
just keep coming in every direction. We
You
talk,
like your segues. You like your tie-ins.
yeah.
This just falls right into your lap today.
Well, it is. Like we talked to Jeremy Gauthier earlier on the Chain Out podcast. Matt Lysak was in
in the chat there. And he's also, of course, I'm a member of Team Lysac, very, very exclusive team that we're getting Daryl on. It looks like we've got Yin in. But as well with that is Park Pro's been putting out the coverage from last year, and one of the most recent tournaments they've released is the Gold Eagle Open that was out in Saskatchewan, up in the North Battleford area, Jackfish Lake.
Yeah.
And at that time last year, we did our fantasy A-tier recap shows.
We did.
And we had a chance to talk to Evan Zimmer, who is the tournament director.
Yeah.
We talked to the FPO winner, which would have been Bailey Inglis. And then we also talked to Thomas Germann at that time. And at that time when we talked to him, we were kind of doing it with just stories and PDGA live cards, but now we've got a chance to watch it. Yeah. And I thought, why not bring Thomas on the show, get a chance to talk to him, and maybe see what he's going to be doing this year for his, I don't know, his victory lap or his repeat for for year 2.
Yeah.
So let's welcome currently from Calgary,
Yeah.
Alberta, Thomas Germann to the show. Hey, Thomas.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Hey, good. How are you?
Good. Thanks for having me on again.
Yeah, of course. One thing I just want to clarify, because I know Matt Lysac and I know his sense of humor, but as we were finishing up the Chain Out podcast, we said that, you know, coming up later we've got Thomas Germann on the episode, and he wrote it down in the chat. It's pronounced Germann, not Germann, and obviously, you know, how am I meant to figure out what that is? But are we pronouncing it correct? Is it Germann?
It's Germann, but
Germann.
no, that's a funny story, because in the 2023 coverage of the Gold Eagle, I crept up the leaderboard, and they had, you know, Matt and Jeremy had never heard of me, so they were kind of taking some guesses at how to pronounce that last name, and I thought it was hilarious, so funny. And when I played with Jeremy in the Edmonton Open, he asked me about it. He's like, they were both so apologetic and everything. And he asked me, like, how do you pronounce it? And I said, you know what? I thought it was so funny, I'm just not going to tell you. So I didn't tell them. And then Matt heard about it. So on the first tee of the Gold Eagle, he's like, so are you going to tell me or no? So I left him hanging for a little bit, but he asked around and figured it out. But yeah, it was funny.
There you go. We always like to get... Well, I say we always like to get things correct, and we always like to pronounce things correct. Alex Penny's in the chat here, and he did really just correct us that Terry won Gold Eagle, not Bailey Inglis.
Oh, Bailey had won.
Not Bailey.
Aspen won Falcon's
Flight.
Flight.
Falcon's Flight.
Yes, that's right.
And
so we apologize, Terry.
Yes.
Right.
And you know what it is too, is that's something that we really have to almost fact check ourselves, because after 70 episodes, 11 tournaments, we've seen them all and we were part of them, but it's hard to keep them all straight.
It is. Yeah. Sometimes they blur into each other. So thanks, Alex, for correcting us,
for keeping us online,
keeping us honest.
We appreciate that. Yeah. Well, you know, when we were saying it there in the intro, Thomas, was we were talking about the Gold Eagle. Now I'm getting a chance to watch it. I was traveling the last couple nights, so I was walking on the treadmill at the hotel. That's what I had queued up and keeping an eye on it and kind of getting through. And I'd love to say I got to the very end, but I've still got, I think, the back 9 to go, and it's just ramping up to that excitement. Now, when it released, did you like have a family watch party, or what did you do for your first big coverage on especially with your win?
Yeah, we were. I was gonna have some friends over, but the timing didn't quite work out. So yeah, Jordan and I, my fiance, we just got a pizza and watched it ourselves. But then we watched it with some friends the week after as well. So unfortunately, yeah, my family is out east, so couldn't watch it in person with them. But.
Right. What is it like watching it back?
Oh, it was really cool. Yeah, the second round was my first time on coverage, so it was really cool to just see. You know, you could tell the nerves were there, and some of the shots weren't optimal. But it was my first ever tournament round with a good friend of mine, Jacob. So it was nice to have that on coverage. And then the last round, I mean, I had to see it again as a spectator, because I just kind of blacked out. I only paid attention to myself and like the rounds of all the 3 other guys. It was like watching it for the first time. So
right,
it was really cool.
We were just talking to Jeremy, because obviously Jeremy does some of the commentary for Park Pro, and we were talking to him about and I'm sure you can appreciate this as well, is when you're watching the coverage and all you see is your tee shot. You don't see it land or what happens to it once it hits the ground. If you get a good skip, if you get a bad roll, that sort of thing. So it must be good to actually see, the shots that you threw, and you're like, I knew it felt good out of my hand. I remember it being a good shot, but how it landed and I got a crazy good skip or whatever it might be in that situation, right? I was lucky that it managed to stick on
Yeah.
the side of those really big slopes near the tee pads or the baskets.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially on that tournament, there's a lot of blind holes. So you walk up and you see your disc is right by a basket, but what you don't know is it was heading 40 feet long and it hit a tree and then
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
it was good.
well, and even too, I think it was on the back nine towards the front. There's that one blind shot, which is kind of a shorter hole, and you like buzz the tower on it, and then you get to see that view of it from that
Yeah.
coverage, where you never would have had any idea. All you knew,
I had
as
no
you said,
idea.
was where it landed, and that was it.
Yeah, and there was in the second round, I thought I was pretty close on a few of them, but then you see the coverage and it's not even close, right? So the
So I guess
opposite
it
is
works
true as
both
well.
ways.
Yeah,
Do you think that helps you? Like, do you think that maybe now that you can see the shots that you threw and that you thought were good, and now you see where they land, does that kind of play? Obviously, we know where we land because we walk up to our lives, but is there any sense of, oh man, I could go a little bit wider, I could go a bit longer, I could put a bit more? Like, is it give you that more better perspective?
yeah, definitely. You're watching it again. You have an opportunity to to criticize yourself a little bit and take some learnings from it. So, um, yeah, I think next time I play, there's a couple of shots that I saw other guys throw as well that I
Yeah,
didn't think of. So,
yeah,
Well, another thing too, as I was watching it back again, and we talked about it maybe a little bit the last time you were on, but Noah Higgins been playing disc golf for quite a while. Definitely would be considered one of our top Canadian pros. And you went head to head with him from round two. Like, the first round you had a great round, he had a great round, but you weren't on the same card. Then you get on the same card for round two and round three, and you're under coverage for the first time, and you're still performing and you're playing well. Like, as you said, you blacked out. I can kind of see why. Was that a little bit intimidating, like having Noah right there, being that's the person you're competing with?
oh, absolutely. He's, I mean, when he turns it on, he's a killer on the course. So it's intimidating playing against like him and Luke and I mean, Marshall
Yeah,
had just
Luke.
won Manitoba Provincials, and I'm kind of a nobody, so it was fun. It was an intimidating experience and stressful, but yeah, no, one I'll cherish for sure.
Yeah. Well, like you're right at adding those other guys as well. So when you think about it, you hear that snap off Noah's disc every time he throws the thing. It's like snapping and ripping right out of his hand. Luke's throwing grenades like it's nobody's business on shots. No one else can do it. And as you said with Marshall, what I was noticing from him is it doesn't matter if he's anywhere from circle two in, his putts are almost always straight, dead straight at the basket. So
Oh yeah,
man,
and
it's impressive.
on 70-foot putts, he misses, and he looks so disappointed in himself. Right? It's no, his putting is something else, and he's just so calm and consistent on the course. It's yeah, that's cool to watch.
Well, and you said a nobody, but after winning that tournament, you got to take that nobody off, and now you are Thomas Germann, and you're getting talked about on this podcast just as much as
There you
any
go.
of the other
Yeah,
guys. So you've elevated your status already.
yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
It helps for sure.
Well, and Thomas, one of the things I noticed is I think, as we said, when we talked about it, you just see a scorecard, you see a number on there. But one of the holes that I wanted to ask you about was when you were on the beach course and you guys lined up for that one where you had to throw towards the water and people are just out there having a nice day at the beach sun tanning. What's the pressure like on that type of throw? Were you nervous about it?
On 17, is it or?
The one, I think, when you get to the high, the lighthouse basket,
Oh,
I
okay, yeah.
believe. Yeah.
Yeah, it's I think it's the whole after. So yeah, that's a stressful one. So usually they shut down the campground for that tournament. It's the
right.
first weekend where the provincial course is closed, but they can't shut down the beach. Now
Okay.
it's September in Saskatchewan. Usually there's nobody there. This year it was 32 degrees, so the beach was kind of packed, right? So is the first time that that I've experienced it, but I didn't really consider the people there. The hole itself is really intimidating because it's only like, I don't know, 60 feet wide, maybe 60, 70 feet wide for the
Wow.
fairway. So it's a really difficult shot to execute. So you don't really want to be anywhere near the people on the beach anyways. So I didn't really think of it. But when I was playing that hole, I remember, these people who didn't really know anything about disc golf, they were talking about Luke's shot, which just happened 10 minutes ago. And I was overhearing that. I was trying to play the hole. I was just hearing this, this couple talking about this kid who threw it 560 feet. So
Right.
that was a little distracting, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, and in that one too, that was kind of one of those parts where, there was swings back and forth throughout the whole tournament with the way, you were playing, you'd cash on something and then you'd miss later on. And that one there, I think, was when you were kind of tucked under the tree and it was like, no, it's a layup at best. And then you cash that one in. That had to be, and then you get to sign the, lighthouse as well, and that's that looked like a really good moment. And just Daryl's been talking about wanting to get out to Gold Eagle, and watching that coverage just starts to make it more of a must play tournament, I think.
It's such a fun tournament. It's you can camp on the grounds there because it's just blocked off for disc golfers. You can sleep at the lodge as well, and it's a weekend dedicated to your friends with disc golf, right? It's awesome. And I know they talked about it in coverage, but the fireworks show is something else.
Yeah. It seems like that's quite, so it happens, I want to say more and more, but maybe it's just, it appears like it's more and more to us because we're now seeing the coverage from these events. But these tournaments that are maybe I can't even say that they're not getting the draw that other tournaments would, because Falcon's Flight is kind of in the same grouping of what I'm trying to say, is that these tournaments tend to be more like gatherings.
Yes.
Like they're not just a disc golf tournament. The organizers, they all know that these people are coming there. They're going to play a round of disc golf. What else are they going to do? So they need to put on other activities, and they keep it. And it's like a fun, I don't want to say a festival atmosphere, but like you said, with the fireworks, with all the other activities, the disc golf, it just seems like it's more than just a tournament.
Yeah, it's a really good time. If you ever have the chance to go, I think it's the weekend after Falcon's Flight every year. Second weekend in September, and it's really fun as long as the weather's good.
Yeah, that's right. And you never know when it gets to September what it could be. And luckily, over the last number of years, it's always mild at that point, which is good. And in the case that you went, it was plus 32, so even better. But another plus 32 that I experienced was this past summer was going to the Limber Open. And at the Limber Open at Curry, they set up, they had the beer gardens there, of course, with Cold Garden, but they also had set up a stage and they had bands playing. And then that Saturday night, they had brought in, like, it was just open invitation. You didn't have to be a disc golfer. If you wanted to try disc golfing, you could go play a little bit on the course, or you could just come for the music and the beer and the burgers and everything else. And the more I experience tournaments like that, there's more of what I want. I didn't know that's what I wanted in a disc golf tournament, but I've realized that that's good. Turn it into a weekend for me. I don't want to go back and sit in my hotel and just watch TV. I want to have fun.
Yeah, exactly. I feel the same way. And it's kind of even more special in tournaments like Falcon's Flight or Gold Eagle, where it's a little bit more remote and there's really nothing else to do, right? Other than spend some quality time with some friends. So, those are definitely tournaments I try to target.
Yeah.
Nice. So now with that happening and you get a chance to watch the coverage now, the season's about to start. Calgary's probably even nicer than it is in Edmonton, where it's getting warm and the snow's melting again for the second time.
Yeah.
We're in that part. Where are you at with planning your year, and have you started to think about what tournaments you want to play this year?
Yeah, starting to. I just put my basket outside in the front lawn so I can start practicing putting. So finally, again, snow's gone for the second time. So hopefully it's gone for good now. But yeah, trying to figure out what my season's like. I'm getting married in August. So
congratulations!
Thank you, thanks, appreciate it. So probably no tournaments in July or August, but trying to plan around that. But I'm definitely playing Spring Runoff and the Big Bear tournament in Canmore. That's
Right.
a favorite of mine. So
Yeah.
those are the
Okay.
two that I have signed up. I really want to make it up to Yukon one of these years. I don't think that
Yeah.
this year is going to be the one, but um, I've really been eyeing up again since the coverage of that tournament came out. That's one I've been eyeing up. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
tournament schedule is to be determined.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and I think Daryl, is that starting to maybe tweak your interest even more? Daryl's been on the fence about coming down to Spring Runoff. He's been trying to work a couple angles to make it happen, but I keep trying to smooth those angles to help get him there. But if Thomas is
Yeah.
going to be there as well,
No, I'm. So I don't have. We've had conversations over the past few days. We haven't actually had. We've been talking about a lot more stuff than
just
this.
that, yeah.
But yeah, I think I'm probably about 90% confirmed that I'm gonna go.
That's awesome.
There's
Yeah,
still that little.
you should sign up now. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, and that tournament too, as when we talked to Rebecca and Noah recently, the fact that Aperture is going to have it already has 9 T pads. There's a chance it could have some more, or Nicholas Sharon might have a few. They're not promising every T pad to be installed, but just the fact that there
Yeah.
will be some T pads, that's going to
Yeah.
make those courses, which were already good, even better in my mind.
Yeah, I've heard that as well. I've actually never played Aperture or the regular layout
Okay.
of Sharon, so I'm going down there on Monday to try out the courses.
Right.
I've played an alternate layout of Sharon. I think Eric Fast had set up a tournament and made his own little layout there, so I kind of have a general feel of the place. But yeah, going down on Monday to try them out. But I've heard really good things, and T pads can only make a course better. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let us know how many throws you throw on hole 1 at Aperture and how many actually make it down the tunnel, because that'll give us some, hopefully, hope and motivation that one day when we grow up, we can be just like you. Because trust us on, I don't know, was it you or me? One of us, we're not going to say who it was. It might have been one of us, but we almost ended up on the road to the right on that hole
Okay.
somehow, I think. So just you let go if you grip lock, because you're just trying so focused to throw it down this tunnel, and then that focus ends up in a grip lock, and then you're so wide right. Like I did that once, I'm pretty sure. So
I ended up on the road.
oh, you actually landed?
I did
Okay,
go
so we
out-
both went over there.
Yeah,
I
I
didn't know
did.
you landed on the
Yeah,
road. Yeah,
it was. I think it might have been the first throw of the first tournament. Like
Oh,
the
just
first
nervous,
day, first
yeah.
round one, first throw. It was just nerves, and I think I just grip locked it straight. Like I didn't, the distance that it takes to get onto the road.
It's
I think I
crazy.
would have been past the basket if it went straight. I don't know what I was thinking, but
Oh, that's funny.
yeah,
Yeah, my nervous miss seems to be early release. So like, as you saw on the on coverage there, right? Just
Yes.
early release to the first available on the left. So
Yeah, that can happen for sure. You know, when we were talking about Gold Eagle there, I had put out a note today on Canadian Disc Golf Hub that the show was going to be on and what was going on. Alex had put a question in there. Oh, has he put it up there too?
Well, you can ask the question, but he kind of ties into it in the chat. So you can ask the question, and then I'll put what his.
All right, so we'll go
Yeah.
first with the Facebook one, then we got the one in the chat. But I hope he wrote it correctly, because I'm going to read it as he wrote it.
I think it is. Yeah.
sure.
So he says it says Alex Penny would really love to hear about the amount of sacred discs gnome thrown by the lead card on round 2. Now, I don't know, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it does. So the very first time I met Alex, he had put on a tournament at Curry, just a one dayer, and I had just moved to Calgary. So played in the tournament. I won a prize. I think he was sponsored by Lone Star Discs at the time, and so it was all Lone Star Discs and affiliates. And
Right.
I picked up this sage scented disc. It was a Sacred Discs gnome,
Oh, okay.
Okay.
and picked it only because it smelled like sage, and that was pretty cool. So, you ever buy a disc and like you pick it up, you throw it once, and you're just okay, that's never leaving my bag. I
Okay.
mean
Right.
that happened to me with that one. So,
Right.
Really?
yeah, I immediately lost it. It's kind of like a Berg, but a little bit more glide. And to me, it feels a whole lot better in the hand. So,
Okay.
it's a good approach disc. Anyways, I started just throwing that on every hole, any time I played with Alex, and so eventually, like I bought a couple more off of some other Lone Star players, and got a whole bunch of them. And this one day, Alex came to me and said, like, here's a gnome that spent a year in the pond at Aspen Meadows. Do you want it? Sure, I'll take it. It smells terrible, but
Right.
Does it
it's
smell
been
like
in the water
sage?
for a
Doesn't smell
year.
like
Yeah.
sage anymore.
No, not at all. And so, anyways, I brought it to Gold Eagle and gave it to Jacob, who I played with in the second round. And so he was warming up for his first round, and he forgot both of his zones in the warm up area. So all he had for an approach disc was his gnome. And so he was throwing it all over. He was actually on coverage for the first round too, so he was like trying to get to know this disc. And
Right.
anyways, he fell in love with it first round. And so in the second round, if you pay close attention, like we're both throwing the same disc on most of the holes.
Oh, really?
And
Awesome.
yeah, both white gnomes. I mean, we did our practice rounds together too, so we're throwing the same disc on all the same holes on the same lines. Alex, who was the originator of both the gnomes that we were throwing, was just
Right.
loving every minute of it. So yeah,
That's
it's
awesome.
funny.
Yeah.
So Alex is in the chat, and when we were talking about aperture, his question was, or kind of point was, knowing Thomas, it'll be one disc at aperture, probably a gnome or a tui. And then he kind of followed that up with that you won that gnome on a 45-foot long putt at the Curry event.
Oh, okay.
So maybe.
Oh, I see. It was a long putt. I forgot why
Yeah.
I won it, but yeah, it was a long putt on an elevated basket from inside of a bush. So
Nice.
it was
There
a
you go.
well earned
Yeah.
disc. Yeah.
Well,
I know that disc that was in the water for over a year or whatever didn't smell like sage, but if you get one that is brand new, or how long does that sage smell last?
You know, I'll have to let you know. I lost that first one,
Right.
and so I replaced it with one that was like a different plastic, so it didn't really say a smell. But I did get an aroma one not too long ago, and probably have it for 6 months now, and it still smells pretty good. It's
Yeah.
like the whole plastic is infused with it, so
Right.
I
that's
think it'll hold up.
That's
Yeah.
interesting for sure.
Yeah.
And
It's like
also,
those markers when you had it, you get like strawberry smelling.
yeah. When you were
Yeah,
growing
it's a
up,
nice
you'd
little
have those.
scratch and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Well, and with that too, like you said, throwing a disc like that and then it never leaves your bag. I'm still amazed. Not that we should know every disc, but as you play disc golf, you start to hear about things. But like, I think maybe in the back of my mind, if I was really pressed, I would have said, yes, Sacred makes discs and they smell, but I don't know if I would have known that. So there's all these manufacturers that are out there, and there could be that disc that is the one that is perfect for you, and it's not Innova and it's
Exactly.
not MVP. It could be some other manufacturer.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I try to experiment a little bit with all of the brands out there. There's some hidden gems for sure.
yeah. Well, I think one of our listeners of the podcast too, Sam Western, we had him on the show. He's a Patreon member. He is a gentleman who goes out there and tries every disc he can find. And then he even makes sure kind of like Alex as well, makes sure he gets discs into other people's hands. And that's how we got our first 3D printed disc in the Chickadee that was out of.
Oh yeah.
And you might know a little bit because you're from Saskatchewan. So are you familiar with the Chickadee guys?
Grassland.
Yeah. I don't know them personally, but I am familiar with the disc, and I've thrown it a couple times. It's solid. It feels good for what it is, and actually not even for what it is. It just feels good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we were amazed at how much flex the disc had. We were
For
thinking
3D print.
3D printing, it's going to be brittle, it's going to not. Yeah, but there's definitely flex in the disc. Sam said he's he's not ashamed to say that he's hit a few trees with it, and it's not chipped or broken or anything like that. So yeah, it's definitely come a long way since what we think of as 3D printing. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so much innovation in the sport. It's really cool.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see if those guys can do some more discs, or if that was like a one and done type thing, or what they're going to be up to next this year. Because it's kind of, we just love seeing, we've seen with Discape, they're a Canadian company and they're bringing in discs. They're doing the designs here and they're doing a lot of the work here, but they're bringing some of the stuff from overseas as well. So it's kind of like a Canadian hybrid type one, but then to see Grassland printing them in Canada, that's a pretty cool thing as well, especially maybe with everything else going on in the world and everyone wanting to buy Canada. That's an easy way to do it.
Yeah,
right?
there you go.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, Yeah, I don't. When they first came out, they were having a hard time keeping them on the shelves. It was cool to see.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, we'll have to make sure with Alex. That's twice now. Thank you, Alex. We appreciate it. He's been able to fact check us. I think
Right.
we need Alex as our official fact checker. Alex, you're gonna have to find a way to be watching more shows and commenting because we'll appreciate that. 45-foot putts, the proper winners on tournaments.
Proper winners on tour. Yeah. I mean, it's not that hard to fact check, really.
Yeah.
We should know this stuff.
Well, and Thomas, last time we got to see both of you, you and Alex, was when everybody came down in November. And I think that's where we say you are definitely. We say everyone's like kind of, you've been on the show, you're a friend of the show, that type of thing. You're a true friend of the show when you come out on a Wednesday night
Right.
in the middle of a snowstorm to hang out with us. And like, that's still one of our highlights of doing the podcast was that night. And I know we didn't get to interact as much as we could because we were trying to get everything organized, but that was fun. And we appreciated that. So
Yeah, that was a great night. And it sure helps that you had it at a brewery. That helps get people out.
definitely.
Yeah, there may have been a reason why we chose that place, but yeah, first on-site location podcast. I think we did pretty good. We had a good showing. People came out, seemed to enjoy the atmosphere. I mean, Cole Garden is always a great place to, even if we weren't going to go back there and do a podcast there, it's definitely a place that I'd like to hang out with.
Oh yeah,
people there were great. The atmosphere was great.
Yeah, we got some prizes from Blake and from everybody else, so that was good to kind of do that mix of them there. But
yeah.
And so, Thomas, when we went down there that time, we did end up going out to Baker Park the next day in the deep snow, pulling our carts. Our wheels were twice the size of what they started as because the snow was just caking on them. But that was the first time Daryl's played a course in Calgary, and we kind of asked Joe this. We asked other people, Amber as well.
Yeah.
What do you think for the next time we come down? Should Daryl and I play as a Calgary course now that you've kind of got a chance to play around there?
Well, now that it's not snowy, because I remember
that would be the thing.
Yeah, I remember we all sent you to Baker because we told you there would be almost no snow and it'll be packed down. So hope you enjoyed that joke.
The tee pads weren't that bad because everybody said that the night before there was going to be a glow league, and the tee pads would be good. And I think it wasn't that bad. It didn't take us too much to.
Too, right?
Yeah, it did snow that night. Yeah, so it didn't take too much to clear off.
Yeah. So if you're in the city, probably Dave Richardson for kind of a balance of closeness and funness. That one's pretty high up for me. If you have the time, Lloyd is probably our best one. So
okay,
that's it's in a private course, private park south of the city. It's $5 to play, I believe, at the gate, and it's a fun course. It's well maintained, good tee pads, good course design.
Right. Have you played Lloyd?
I haven't played Lloyd yet. I got down to WJ Homestead, which I think is that in the same general area.
Yeah, I think it's just WJ's 10 minutes past Lloyd, I believe. So
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I think I'm going to head down there. I did it last year. Was NADGT and Kevin King put on that 1-day beat here that was at WJ. And I had a great time with that. That's a really good course. So maybe I have signed up for it again, but maybe if I get down on the Friday or I get down on the stay for the Sunday, I could get out to Lloyd the next day.
Yeah. No, it's worth playing if you're in the area. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Alex is asking, I don't know if he's asking us a question or whether he's asking
we'll throw it up there.
Thomas a question. Maybe you can make it out to a flex start at DRM Friday, May 25th.
Oh, yeah. Well, go ahead.
We were talking about schedules, for tournament schedules. Alex is putting on 12 or 15, probably 15 flex starts over the course of the year that are all sanctioned. They're called the Get Rated series. So if you're on Disc Golf Scene, you'll see a bunch of those.
Yeah.
And Dave Richardson's on the list. I mean, every course in Calgary is going to be on the list. I'm playing in P96 next weekend, 2 weekends from now.
Okay.
And it's just a 1 round flex start. Make your own cards of a few of you, and it's all PDJ sanctioned. So,
those are looking good because, there's a ton of them out there, right? And I think the only thing that we'd have to be aware of is you probably have to, if you're coming down from Edmonton, you got to get off at least noon to start heading down. Because what is the time frame on Friday?
When does the
Yeah,
flex
like
start?
the flex start is at like 4:30 to 6:30 or something like that,
I
or
think it's noon to 6 p.m.
oh, okay,
So
so there's a
it's a
big
pretty wide
window.
window. Yeah, yeah. Might
So
depend on the one and depend on Alex's schedule, but
so apparently Mr. Penny needs to start fact checking himself because he had to clarify that it's actually April and not May.
You
well,
know what?
as
Because
long as
he's the nicest
April
guy
20th.
in disc golf. He
But
did it wrong on purpose just
yeah,
so that he could make us feel better.
there you
Thanks,
go.
Alex.
He put April 25th, but then he put a question mark. So I'm not sure he actually knows. I mean, we can. Oh, Sam's in the chat now. May 25th is a Sunday, so yeah, who knows? Look on Disc Golf Scene, it'll be on there.
If there's a 25 on a Friday, that might be the
That's
right
the
one.
one.
yeah, we might need to find a fact checker to fact check the fact checker.
Exactly. Who polices the police? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, at least we know. Yeah, so you're going to be at P96. Would you rip up that course with the Sage as well? Is that
Yeah, probably. I've
the
actually
gnome?
never played that course either, so
Wow.
yeah, hopefully I can get a practice round in.
Okay. Have you played Wetaskiwin at all?
No, I haven't.
Okay, well, because we were talking about it recently, because even when we saw that Alex had posted up about Park 96, they both have those trap shot baskets. And if you haven't played on one of those yet, when you'll also get a good experience to see your first toilet bowl throw.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely very susceptible to. Oh, that's it. No, it's looped around and it's coming back towards me.
And even with a
Oh,
zing
wow.
as it goes around it, because there's no nubs or anything, it's just a smooth, rounded top. And I don't know
Yeah.
if all 18 holes have it, because I know in Wetaskiwin, it's only the front nine. The back nine is just an older, regular style basket.
Yeah.
But yeah, you'll have some fun with those, I think, for sure.
Yeah, it's like when you put a corner in those donation bins in the mall, and the quarter just goes
Yeah, there you go.
round
Exactly.
and down, and yeah.
Yeah.
100% it's like that for sure. Okay, well, we know that you're going to be at spring runoff. Daryl's now 90% in, so we get a chance to see you again. You've looked and saw that Casey's going to be there, I'm sure. Have you checked who's registered so far?
I have, yeah. It's going to be a strong field, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be another who's who a bit there, because Noah will be playing as well. And
Yeah.
and then even on the FPO side, it looks like it's a smaller group as always. It takes a bit of time that way, but looks like it's just going to be a great weekend for disc
Yeah.
golf.
Yeah.
FOMO is real. That's all I'll say. That's every time we talk about spring runoff, there's some other little thing that you mention or somebody else mentions that, oh, you should come. It'd be, and then I think, yeah, maybe I will.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Last year too, when we went down there, Kristen Swirls and Tim Plamondon had set up a night for some of the local Edmonton people, and we just went out and had a beer at one of the restaurants. But I think knowing that Blake's got Cold Garden down there,
Yeah.
well, as long as the weather's good, that's the thing that's always tough is you don't want to be outside if it's too cold. But either we got to meet up for a beer there, or maybe we can put something together and go out to a bar. But we'd love to catch up with you
Absolutely.
again.
Yeah, anytime. And anytime in Calgary, let me know.
Okay, yeah, we certainly will. But you got anything else on the list there that you wanted to ask Thomas before we let him go?
No. Yeah, we spoke about the coverage and how good it was watching yourself back, and it's good. I guess it makes it a little bit sweeter when you know that you spoiler that maybe you take down the win at the end as well. So
Yes.
all those maybe when you're critiquing yourself a little bit, maybe you can go a little bit easier on yourself, knowing that it all came together in the end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think you're safe to spoil that at this point.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, you know what? We'd probably say someone else won it by accident and get it
Yeah.
wrong anyways.
Exactly.
So, no, that's awesome, Thomas. Thanks for joining us. We'll catch up with you soon, and if we don't see you before, we'll see you at spring runoff for sure.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks
Oh.
for having us on. Yeah.
Well, normally at the other end of the episode, we always give the guest a little
Oh
bit
yeah,
of
sorry
time.
about that. We always forget
Yeah,
that.
we always give you a bit of time to shout out any new sponsors or anything that you want to shout out. So we'll give you that time right now.
Yeah.
You bet. I do actually have a new sponsor to shout out. Mando Threads, another Saskatoon disc golf clothing company. Yeah. So they make some cool hoodies, some jerseys, some nice shirts. I know they have some new stuff coming out in the first week of April here. So keep your eyes peeled. Those the jerseys that are coming out are really nice, and I think there might be a collab with Grasslands Disc there. So
Oh, that would be
Oh,
really cool.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
have you
so-
put in an order for your first care package, or have they been putting together a care package for you?
Yeah, I just put in my order last night for my allotment, so I don't have anything to show off today. But next time I see you, I'll
You'll
make
have
sure
it.
to have some.
You'll have it for spring runoff for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, you bet, it's in the mail.
There you go.
It'll be a mandatory that he's wearing those threads the next time we see him.
I like what you did.
Yeah, very good one.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. And I'm sure you're always open to other sponsors if anybody else is interested, especially, Sacred Discs is looking for someone to throw.
Be an ambassador.
Yeah.
Yeah, you bet. It's a little challenging this year with kind of a shortened schedule. It's hard to commit to a lot of events, but yeah, always looking.
All
Sounds
right.
good.
Okay. Thanks
Okay,
again.
we appreciate your time, Thomas.
Yeah, thanks so much, guys. Take care.
Okay, thanks.
Daryl, I'm loving this part about ATB. I know I kind of, as we finish these, every time we talk to somebody, I'm always quite excited about it, but it's like, it's not a full interview type thing,
Right.
but it's just nice to catch up. And
It's good because it's good it's good being us, Jeremy. We get to do the Chain Out podcast, and we get to interview all these new people that we see them on coverage, we see them doing great things in the sport, whether it be disc golf manufacturers, clothing brands, whether it be pros, tournament directors, disc golf store owners, disc golf course designers, you name it, we're interviewing them. It's all great. But then, like you said, it's always good to come on these episodes and it makes it seem like it's not just okay, we want to interview you, okay, thanks, goodbye, and when we don't keep in contact.
Yeah.
Like we do keep in contact with all the people as far as as much as we can, the people that we interview, and it's always nice to catch up. And we're always like you're very good at it for reaching out to people when the Park Pro releases their coverage of being kind of like reaching back out to them again and being like, oh, congratulations on whatever you did, insert great shot or win or whatever. So it's always good that we get to revisit it and kind of reconnect.
Well, and I always think that's something that everybody should do more, whether it's with a disc golf thing or just with friends. This is on my other side. Is like, if you're thinking about somebody for whatever reason, or if you see something that reminds you of that, it takes, now that we can text, it's not like you got to get on a phone call and have a half-hour conversation.
Right.
You can throw a quick text and send that out. And most of the time, people are more than happy to know that you had something nice to say. Who doesn't want to hear something nice about
Exactly.
them, right? So
Yeah. Well, speaking of someone hearing something nice about them, Alex says he's loving the format. Awesome job.
Oh, well, that's perfect.
You're one of those.
Thanks,
Alex.
Alex. Yeah, we've been really trying to get this ATB episodes into a format that we can wrap our heads around. I guess
And
Daryl's
it's finally something that Jeremy's happy with.
well, Daryl's been happy the whole time. I've been struggling just trying to get it to a place where you guys can enjoy it and we'll enjoy it and we get a chance. And I really did want that ability to reconnect with our previous guests and see what's going on with them and just touch base and have more of a conversation than a full-on interview. Yeah. And it'll take us some time to get that feel, because after interviewing people for a year, the first thing I want to do is get right into interview mode. And I think we joked, I ran into Christy Lee out at Nationals last year, and I was just saying, hey, how you doing? It's good to see you, and asking her about her round. And first thing she said, she's like, are you interviewing me right now? And I said, no, I'm just sincerely curious about what's going on. So
yeah,
but yeah, it's good to talk with Thomas and then ask him some interview question type thing, but just have a conversation with him.
Yeah, absolutely.
So cool. Well, should we get back at it with Chantel and Rebecca Dawn?
Yeah, let's
actually
do a
on the
quick
Disc
recap.
Golf Pro Tour. And I kind of wanted to talk about that mainly because, again, like last year when we were doing our big long episodes, we would catch everybody up on it, but it would be really quick and a really little snip. But
yeah,
these players are heading down. They're well, it's not sacrifice, I guess. They're deciding to use their time to try and pursue a career in disc golf.
Mm-hmm.
I want to bring attention to them, and you're not always going to get that on the Disc Golf Pro Tour or the DGN coverage,
right?
Just because maybe they're not on lead card or feature card, and that's all you can get. So if we can be the feature card for them and kind of give them some attention.
Absolutely. That's what we're all about. We're all about promoting Canadian disc golfers.
Yeah, so they were both playing at the Waco Annual Charity Open, which was presented by Prodigy.
Yeah.
And then I think one of these players might also be sponsored by Prodigy.
Yeah. And I think, Chantel was out there. Rebecca Dawn was also out there, like you said.
Yeah, and Chantel was able to get on to feature coverage. And the one thing you were just saying as we were talking ahead of time, because you were watching a lot of that coverage, I was kind of following along with PDGA Live. The one thing we wanted to see a little bit more from what you were telling me is that Chantel was on feature card. They were showing
She was on second feature card.
second
Chase
feature card on chase card. Yeah. So you got your lead card and your feature. Isn't that usually how it is, or no?
Lead card and chase card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the chase card was the feature card. Either way, the whole point being is that they didn't give her as much airtime as they probably could have, is what you were thinking?
Yeah. So the way that I understood it and was watching it was they were following lead card.
Only. Oh, okay. They were only following.
They were following lead card, and then obviously when they were walking up to their lies, walking up the fairway, they would cut back to chase card and have their pre-recorded throws. But what it seemed like, if anybody else watched the coverage, because the first round coverage was live on YouTube on the Jomez channel, what it seemed like that I seen was, and I don't know if it may have been the fact that Chantel wasn't playing as good as the other three people on her card, but when they were cutting back to chase card coverage, it was a lot of the other three
So you had Own,
athletes.
you had Ella, and you had Evelina on that first card.
Right. And you would see a lot of Evelina and a lot of Ella and some Own. But then as soon as they would, you might see them three clean up their putts. And then you would see Chantel walking in the background, and then it would cut right back to lead card coverage again.
Yeah.
And it seemed like every time they were doing that, they were checking in with chase card. It was always, one of those other three. And it might have, like I said, it might have just been because they were playing a little bit better than Chantel at the time. Maybe Chantel didn't have some great throws.
Well, I think
Maybe I didn't pay that much attention. Maybe she did get featured. I know the only time that I saw Chantel was when she tapped in her birdie on 18.
Well, I think, Tim, my thoughts on it is that, yeah, okay, maybe we're 1/13th the size of the U.S., but Canada has a big disc golf market here, and that's what we're trying to help bring more content to. I think the DGN should be aware of it, especially when we end up in those situations, because there's a lot of us who that's why you're watching. Like, you're watching FPO because you like all the different players, but you hear that Chantel's on feature. I want to see her on feature.
Right.
Put her up on the screen.
Yeah, I don't necessarily know if it was we're going to film the three Americans and not film the Canadian. I don't know if it was that type of bias. Like I said, I think maybe it was just the fact that her first round wasn't as great as...
So we're making a mountain out of a molehill? Is that what you think we're doing?
No, it was something that I noticed. That
All right.
she didn't get featured as much. Yeah, they advertised her. They put the Instagram post and all that. You see her face on the promotion. But when it came down to it, like, I didn't really see her as much as I thought I was going to.
Well, and
That's
I
what
think,
I'm saying.
and I'm okay with the fact that if you are now on fourth card, fifth card, sixth card, you're not going to be coverage. It doesn't matter who you are. But when you're on that, don't feature 3 out of 4 if that's what happened. If that's not really what happened and it was just kind of what you felt like, that's okay.
Yeah.
But if that happened, then I got a couple choice words.
I do kind of... got a couple of choice words. I do feel like we're just digging ourselves into a hole here.
All right, well, I'll dig myself
out. It may not have
out.
been anything, but...
But anyways, let's go back to it. So she's on a card first round with Owen Scoggins, Ella Hansen, and Evelina Salonen.
Yeah.
That's an awesome card to be starting with.
Oh, absolutely.
And if you look at the scorecard, first hole, everybody steps up. And I don't know, like, what was it about that first hole? Is that one that you kind of got to go through that tree gap? Yeah. Okay. So none of them could do it on that first round.
Yeah, it was windy on the first day.
Yeah.
Windy on the first day, on the first hole. There is a route to go Spike Heiser, but I don't know if any of the ladies would have had the distance to get there. And especially seeing as it was so windy, everybody was trying to keep it low and straight through the gap.
Oh, and then it slapping it down and stuff like that.
First hole, first day tournament on coverage. Lots of things that could have played into that, right?
Yeah. Well, after that, though, she shoots a pretty clean round and she's +2. And maybe that's not at the height of what the best rounds were that day, but it was above her rating. And I think at this point, when you're on the Pro Tour, the same thing for you and I, in a similar way, when we're in MA40, we don't go into MA40 and think, oh, yeah, we're going to beat Travis Bouchard this week. That's not our first thing, or we're not going to beat any of the other guys that are out there. But what we do know is that we know that we have a rating, and if we play above our rating, that's a win.
That's a win.
And I think that's probably the case for Rebecca and Chantel at the start, and that's what, whatever it was, Chantel with her +2, she was above her rating. It put her tied for 24th goes into the second round, and now she's on a card with Rebecca Cox, Anna Castine, and Lisa Fakis. So another awesome card to be part of.
Yeah.
She starts out clean that round, struggles a bit in the end, and likely due to, again, all the wind.
Yeah.
Finishes +5, but it's again above her PDGA rating.
Yeah.
So
Take the wins.
yeah, she moves up one spot, goes to 23rd. Then in the third round, she's on a card with Heidi Line, Ali Smith, and Valerie Mondahano. And she plays the best round of her tournament, shooting -1 because the wind also died down.
Wind died down, yeah.
And she moves up 2 more spots to 21st, tied for 21st. And it was good enough to cash, taking home $410.
Yeah. As much as, you can be critical and say that she didn't play well, she played, +2, +3, whatever. When you beat your rating, I imagine she beat her rating 3 out of 3 rounds.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
When you play above your rating 3 out of 3 rounds and you make it into cash, what's not to say that you didn't have a good tournament?
Yeah, for sure. And the thing I brought up every one of her cards. The other thing I'm thinking, you're Rebecca, who's brand new to the tour this year, right?
Yeah.
She played some events last year. Chantel's a little bit more familiar with the tour, but could you just imagine you head down, it's your first time going on tour, you're Rebecca or somebody like that, and then you're going to be on a card with Owen and Evelina, and who do we have else on there? Who is my third person? And Ella
Hansen, yeah.
So you're on a card with the 3 of them. How do you think you might play? On coverage, got a camera on you,
Yeah.
and you've got these 3 on your card.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh,
Might be a little bit nervous.
could be.
Might be shanking your shots into the bushes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, the one thing too is Chantel, which I love, is everybody, if you don't already know, you should, that she's Miss Frisbees is her handle on social media. And her fiance, Chris, they put out a ton of content and they do really good job at recapping. And what I like about what Chantel's been doing is that she really isn't afraid to show her emotions and stuff too. So if she's not playing well, she's not playing well. If she's playing well, she is, but she's not afraid to let you know about that. It's not, oh, it's going to be all rosy and shiny every day.
Right.
And I appreciate that. It gives a little bit more of a reality to the person as a person and not just some fictitious disc golfer that you watch on TV.
Yeah. She did do a video, I think it was the end of last season, kind of putting herself out there, and she did struggle with the stress and the negative side of the mental side of playing disc golf and beating herself up when she didn't play as well. And maybe that's one of the things that she's accepted and overcoming. And when things go bad, doesn't mean that anyone is gonna think any less of her for playing the way that she did. We could never play like that.
No. And as we were saying there too, is when you're beating your rating and such, you're playing to your game, you're improving and exceeding. And I think that sometimes it's always that perspective of it. I'm not going to compare myself to Kristen Lott, even though I'm in the same competition as her, if that's the case, but I am going to compare myself to myself and how did I do?
Right.
And and I think so, as we say, for a start of the season, Chantel's like doing quite well. She had Supreme Flight was good, Waco's good, and then she's going to be at Open at Austin. So she's going to be playing that right away too.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But that's how Chantel did. But let's go to Rebecca.
Yeah.
And this was her second stop on the tour as well, because she played Supreme Flight.
Yeah.
We talked about that, and she even joked about it,
yeah.
that she hopes to never play the 2 holes like she did at Supreme Flight again.
Yeah, exactly. It was just a bad 2 holes for her on that first round.
Yeah. So when she got to her first round, she played pretty decent. She had 2 birdies, 3 bogeys, 2 doubles, which had her finish +5, and she was tied for 34th. But again, for her, that was 12 points above her rating.
Yeah.
So that was pretty good.
That would have been, I should imagine it would be nice for her because she was on a card with Trinity Bryant. And I think whenever she's played with her before, she played with her at Junior Worlds.
Yeah.
And I think she's, I don't know if she stays with Trinity. I know they have quite a good bond. So it'd be nice to play on a card with somebody that you actually know, right? Because she also played with Taylor Chosek and Hannah Wynn.
Right.
So play maybe 2 other people that she didn't know as much.
So she
she would know
face.
maybe Taylor because Taylor came up and played End of a Rip, didn't she?
No, she was out at Nationals. Yeah. But she'll be coming up this year for Nationals as well. But you are right in the fact too that it's like, even though we've only been in disc golf for a little while now and we've been paying attention to the pros as much as we're paying attention to the Canadians and everything else, you're starting to see that next group of disc golfers come in. I know you've been watching for over 7-8 years,
Yeah.
but you're seeing, so Rebecca, Trinity, Ellie Ezra, there's this group of young FPO golfers that are coming in looking to challenge the rest. And it would be great to be on a card like that.
Yeah.
So round 2, she comes out and she manages 4 birdies, but the bogeys and a double had her finish +5 again. So 4 birdies, but then balances out still at +5. And she was rated higher though, probably due to the wind and stuff.
Right.
But it did drop her from T34 down to T37. So she's still kind of floating in that same range at that point. And then on round 3, she comes out, takes 3 bogeys, 2 doubles, but she amped it up with birdies, managing, what did I have here? Even that makes sense.
She amped up the birdies.
Yeah, she did with
8.
8 birdies.
Yeah.
Man, sometimes I write notes that I don't even know what I'm writing, but 8 birdies. Could you believe that though? And that gets her to a -1. So now she's just under par.
Yeah. She shot a -1, same as Chantel did on the final day.
And that got her up to T29. But you know what? It's happy you finish on a high note. You're at a -1, but she was just 1 spot away from cashing. Just right there. She could have been 1 more spot up there.
That's going to be hard, right? I mean, it is what it is. If one away from cashing, 1 away from top 10, 1 away. It's always like, oh, what could have been? Yeah. Okay, but it's definitely, she's so young that hopefully this can only make her stronger.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and with Rebecca as well, she is not quite to where Miss Frisbee's is with putting up all of her videos and posts, but she's getting there. She's working on her social media game and she's putting things out. So I had put her post here. It's not too long, but I wanted to read it because it gives us a good feel of where she was at.
Do you want me to put it up on?
Oh, we could too.
Okay.
It's kind of the white and black might work or not, but anyways, she's got there. This weekend was a lot of fun and I gained a lot more experience in the things, but it's also very encouraging that I'm getting that close after not playing my best disc golf. I feel like I'm so close to playing really well, but silly little mistakes are what is holding me back. My putting in C1 was great this weekend and my sidearm is really coming along. Highlight of the weekend was birdieing the last 3 holes in the final round to get me close to the cash line. I have a few days to practice the courses for Open at Austin, and hopefully I'll play well enough in the first 3 rounds to make the cut and play on Sunday. So happy spirits and everything else, and I'm living vicariously through their posts because that's what we've got, and I think everyone else should kind of get on board when we can, and just follow these players as well.
Exactly, follow them, like their posts, comment. Everything like that is just going to be beneficial to them in keeping their sponsors happy, growing their fan base, getting more recognition. Mm-hmm. Everything's going to be good.
And we talk about that with the podcast, is having YouTube subscribers, having you follow us on Instagram, how important that is. But it also helps our Canadian pro players too, especially the ones who are either sponsored and want to maintain those sponsorships or who are looking for sponsors. So if you get time or you're just watching this with us and you haven't followed our Canadian pros, go out there, find their socials and follow them for sure.
Absolutely.
But Open at Austin is coming up next, and it starts actually tomorrow because it's a 4-day event, not a 3-day event.
Dylan says Sprinkle Valley this weekend. It'll be fun to watch.
Oh, 100%. It will be.
People that didn't watch or didn't know, Sprinkle Valley was the site for the women's USWDGC last year.
Yeah, and that was I watched a little bit of that coverage there last year, and it looked like a good course. And Mark actually went down to Austin with Tyler, our buddy, and they had a chance to play it and thought it was a really good course as well.
Right.
Yeah. But going down there, we're not going to have any MPOs representing Thomas, Max, Noah. Nobody's going down on that side of it.
Right.
But we will have, as we said, Chantel and Rebecca will both be there, and Sophia is heading down as well. So got 3 Canadians for you to keep an eye out. And hey, another thing, if you're listening to us and you're checking that stuff out, drop us a message on Chano. Let's talk about it. Let's chat about what they're doing and throw those comments out there. We can tag each other, tag them, and really try to bring more attention to them.
Absolutely.
Do you think I've banged that drum hard enough yet?
Maybe just a little bit more.
A little bit more? Every week we
Go follow them.
Every week.
Yeah.
And then I was telling you this before we started the podcast. I said, Daryl, it's almost April.
Yeah.
We're just a couple weeks away. Edmonton disc golf leagues are starting in April.
I can't believe that, seeing as there's so much snow still outside.
Yeah.
I don't remember starting in snow last year.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
Was there?
There would have been some cold days. I do remember probably still wearing a jacket or wearing
Yeah,
layers and
probably.
stuff, but
Yeah.
I don't know if I remember snow.
Yeah. So Edgar has a few different leagues this year. Well, they have a few of the same, but there's a few that have changed their names. So as they did last year, Monday will be the doubles league.
Okay.
That'll be taking place at Hermitage and Niska. Rolling start, best shot doubles.
Gotcha.
We mentioned about, I mean, this is not on the leagues, but we mentioned about doing
The tournament.
the tournament doubles. So, I mean, I've never played doubles. I've never played best
You've
shots.
never like played even just recreational doubles?
No?
Oh, because when I first started, I would go out on Sundays, usually Fubi or some of the guys there for
Right.
the guys who played disc golf for a long time in Edmonton.
Yeah.
They'll organize a doubles day,
Like a
and it was
drop-in.
just $5 flip
Yeah.
doubles. And I played a few times, and yeah, always enjoyed it. And then even before River City Cup one night, they did the Friday night, they did doubles. So yeah,
Right.
you got to play it even just in a rec way.
Yeah, no, I've never played it. I think maybe we'll do that one time when we go out as chain out. Maybe we'll play we might play against each other, but we'll also have a second disc that we play as a doubles.
Oh,
team,
that'd
just
be a
to
good idea.
Yeah, I've never played and see what score we could shoot as a team.
Yeah,
Because sometimes you make good putts, sometimes you have good throws.
sometimes.
And I can be cheerleading. Tuesday used to be called the Nor'Wester League.
Right.
Then, or I think it was the Nor'Wester League, and then I think it kind of got changed into the Northern League or Northwest League. But now, because last year they started playing a few more courses, they started playing Hermitage, Niska, Rundle. I think they may have even played.
I think only Rundle, maybe they didn't, but maybe they did. I don't know.
Maybe it was just Hermitage. I know they played Langholm and St. Albert.
Kingswood.
This year, they're going to extend out to Dog Rump. They can try and get out to Dog Rump.
Oh, sweet.
So they're going to go all the way across the north side. So they're going to change the name of the league. So if you're looking for the Nor'Western League, now look for it. It's called the Roaming Rec League.
Yeah, and we
Kind of
also
more of a
heard there
fitting
might
name.
be a couple off the record courses too that you might want to join that league, but we
cannot
can't confirm nor deny. So if you know, you know.
Yeah. Wednesday's Women's League, that'll be taking place at Langholm, Rundle, and maybe some other courses in there as well, rotating. They also have some draw prizes as well. There is a sanctioned, this will be the first year that Edgar's doing it. Josh Smith, I believe, is running it. They're going to be hosting a sanctioned PDGA drop-in league.
Okay.
So show up whenever you want. You get a rating from a league round,
Okay.
which will be good. It's going to be 9 weeks long, 3 weeks each at Hermitage, Niska, and at Rundle.
Yeah.
So it'd be a first to actually play in a league that's actually sanctioned. So it's almost a bit like the get in, get out, get rated sort of thing, but you're playing in a league.
Yeah.
So you're going to get a rating every week.
And I think too what they're going to do, so they got it set up as a shotgun start, but I guess with the kind of the 9 weeks long part is that if you want to come out this week and you don't want to come out, like if you only want to get, that's
Right.
kind of where it's come as you want to.
Yeah.
You don't have to commit and not get a rating because you didn't play all the weeks. You'll get a rating for whatever weeks you play.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool.
Yeah. And then the OG league, the biggest league, the Rundle Thursday Night League, which I'm still undecided. I think I'll be taking part in it. I think
Is that the one you're going to go for?
I'm not sure. I think so.
Well, and that's kind of where I want to get. Yeah, so the OG league, it's the biggest league in the
Yeah.
in the city. It's a rolling start where they've got a window that you have to start your round in, and
Right.
it kind of is flexible depending on what's going on. If there's an Oilers playoff game
Right.
or that kind of thing, they put the pins.
I don't
in.
think it'll be like that this year because
Brock is going to run it pretty tight.
Brock will be running it. He doesn't need to zip away to get to the Oilers game. Excuse me.
But they put different pins in place. They have cash payout at the end of the year, and they have tiers, and there's payouts for aces, as Daryl can tell you all about it.
Yeah.
And closest to the pins, everything else. Wild
Yeah.
man.
Wild Man Putt of the Week. Yeah.
Yeah. So the thing I wanted to bring up that was maybe bring attention to the leagues. But what do you like when you're thinking about what league you want to play? What types of things are you taking in consideration? So you're like, we played Rundle last year. Just to give you a little start from my side, because we played Rundle last year. I wanted to play it. I've never played it before. I'm not in it for the cash necessarily. I'm not at that level, but it doesn't matter. I'm in there to have a good time. I did have a good time in the fact that I got to see a lot of the same people every week and a lot of good people that way. But for me, it's one course. It's always the same course. We do try to mix it up a bit, but I kind of like the idea of going to different courses each week and playing in league. And then if I do want to say about the competitive side, I like that if I show up at the roaming rec league, for example, the fact that I showed up puts my name in a draw, whether I shot well or poorly.
Right.
So that's what I'm thinking. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I think just for me, geographical location makes a difference. So I think for me, because I live way on the south side, trying to schedule getting out to Dog Rump on a Monday night, or it might be, you know, Niska or anywhere else. I know they're not too far away from Rundle, but Rundle is probably the closest to me of the major leagues, and they're all on the north side anyway. So, and like you said, yes, it is one course every week, but you could also flip that and be like, okay, now you play the first week, now you've got your baseline. Now each week you're going to try and better your score, and you're going to keep being that competitive. You know, you're eventually going to know, well, hopefully we should know by now what shot to play on what hole. But yeah, hopefully, you know, it'll just be a challenge to try and beat your own score. And then, like you said, after a certain amount of weeks, then you get split up into your tiers. Then that's when you're trying then do your hardest to try and, you know, get in that pay in that cash line. But
well, and I do like the fact that with that one as well, is it's your 10 best rounds, right? So if you go out every week, that just gives you more opportunities to get your 10 best. It's not just only 10 rounds. But if you show up for only 10, I guess that's your 10 best rounds, right?
There you go.
But yeah, no, that's pretty interesting that way. The other thing too, I know you're probably a little more inclined to stick to the Edgar leagues being on the board and that type of thing. But I know in the past too, like Bailey's has had a league night. I think they had a sanctioned league night. And then Wetaskiwin as well. Like there was a league there that I believe Terry was playing in, and we should again. Sorry, Terry, for not remembering that you won the Gold Eagle. That's on us. But yeah, no, I know she was playing down there, and I think a league there, if you're really trying to improve your game, playing at Wetaskiwin on a weekly basis is likely going to do that.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I've said before that it's about the same time for me to get to Bailey or to Rundle as it is to Wetaskiwin.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe that's something I'll consider.
Well, I wonder too, is like anybody who's listening now, or if you're listening live or after the fact, put in the comments and let us know what is it that you take into consideration when you're choosing a league. What types of things do you want? Do you want draw prizes? Do you want cash? Do you want to be traveling around going to different holes? Do you want, like I know with the roaming league, one of the things I remember from the previous year when I played it is there was a lot of, and we did this in Rundle too, there was the one disc night.
Right.
So there was things like that. I know with Rundle, we had that top of the world shot. That was kind of an extra thing that we had. And I know even with the roaming league, I think they do a doubles night too. So it's not that it's a regular thing, but I think I love the variety of it. And as Mike Carey would be remiss if I didn't say it, is they say they have the best wrap-up party of any of the leagues. Because they end up, what they do is we do a throwing accuracy contest. He brings out his radar gun, and there's a speed contest to see who can throw the fastest. There's a putting contest, which yours truly won a couple years ago, just so you know.
There you go.
Yeah, so there's a couple things like that, which are pretty fun. So what were you? Oh, I thought you were queuing something up there.
No.
You just...
I'm just pushing a button to see what it did.
So yeah, so I guess I bored your ears off there, but
I don't know what else there is to say about leagues.
Well, I think the thing about leagues that I might want to see too is I might want to see whether it's the roaming league or even if it was not even that. I think it could be a league on its own. I would like to see a match play league. And then I would want to see it, like, have you seen in squash and stuff like that, they'll do ladder leagues? I think it would be cool to do a ladder league. Would you ever do something like that, do you think?
Maybe if it was offered and I was available to play it. I don't necessarily know if I would search it out.
No?
But yeah.
Well, that's kind of the one I'm thinking, and maybe one too where we were talking about this before with having like a playoff event when you might have like a Northern Edmonton, Southern Edmonton. No, I meant more about, okay, never mind. I'll go down that with Dylan or with Alex or someone else. But I do think there's room in the city to have regions and then to have like either competitions for the regions.
We don't need playoffs. Playoffs are boring. They don't mean anything.
All right. Well, anyway, so now
Tim backed me up. If you remember, when we were talking about the playoffs.
Oh, well, you know what? That's maybe a little cat that we can let out of the bag right now, mentioning Tim. Why don't we do that?
Why don't we? Why
'Cause
don't
there's
you
not-
do that? Because it concerns you more than it concerns me. Well, I guess not necessarily, but it kind of does.
Well, this will
Some
be...
people love this podcast and will do anything they can to be on the podcast.
Yeah, that's true.
Other people don't care.
No, that's true. Some people just will willy-nilly not be here at certain times.
Yeah.
But anyways, what we want to let you know, if you're listening this long and if you're part of it, is next week I am going to be in hot and sunny Mexico.
God, doesn't even care, does he?
Yeah, so I'm going to finally get a week's vacation. I have not been out of the country since 2019, Daryl.
Me too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All right, well, we need to fix that for you as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, I'm going to Mexico next week, so I may, if there is some connectivity down there, pop in for a quick hello on the podcast. But we're going to have a guest host, and it's not going to be Gabe this time, who was our first guest host.
It's not.
Daryl has kind of lined one up for us. Who's coming on?
I reached out to somebody who has been on the podcast quite a few times, someone who is not afraid to speak their mind and is quite good on the microphone, somebody who has good disc golf knowledge. Can only be one person. It's going to be, we're going to have a special guest host. Mr. Tim Plamondon will be sitting in, well, he won't be sitting in your chair.
Are you going to invite him to come to the studio?
He can come over if he wants to. Yeah, we
Oh, that
we
would
haven't
be
discussed
awesome.
that, but I guess I need to start planning that next step because I lined him up. I asked him if he wanted to do it. He said yes. I told him who our Around the Basket guest was going to be. At the time, we didn't know who we were going to have on as the main guest.
Mm-hmm.
We might have confirmed it. I guess we haven't nailed down the chain out guest yet.
Oh, yeah, we have.
You think so?
But I think we
Yeah.
won't tell anybody
No,
yet.
we're not going to tell them. But I didn't know if they actually confirmed.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, but I think I'll invite him here. If he wants to come over, he can. If we're going to do it remotely, we can do it remotely as well. I have the technology.
Yeah. Well, what we'll tell you...
Tim will be the Jeremy.
Tim will be the Jeremy, and he's going to do both the Chain Out podcast and the Around the Basket. And we do have our guests locked in as long as there's no last minute cancellations, which tends to happen once in a while.
Yeah.
So as long as that doesn't happen, I'm going to be missing out. I'll tell you that much. So we
you're
will
gonna have
announce
FOMO.
it for you on Monday, but I'll be able to check in maybe before the guests show up and just say a quick hello. Maybe a little bit like Daryl Banks did from
Mexico.
yeah, exactly, from
Exactly.
Cabo or wherever he was.
Yeah.
But that's something to tune in for next week. You're going to be excited. You got Tim Plamondon. I may not have a job when I come back.
It'll be like the lunatics running the asylum, Jeremy.
So, yeah, that's it. And I think that's really all I had to cover today. Was there anything that you wanted to talk about more on Around the
I
Basket?
think we've talked for long enough, Jeremy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. So, we hope you enjoy it. We know Alex enjoyed at least the Thomas Germann part, the
Yeah.
part with the two. I'm just going to keep using it. Was it Waldorf and...
Waldorf and Statler.
Yeah, the Waldorf and Statler portion. Hopefully you enjoyed that part as well. You know, check out the Patreon always.
It wasn't that bad. It was all bad.
We're going to have to queue up some of those as well. Maybe,
Hey, don't get
we're going to
ahead of
talk
yourself.
something afterwards here. I got something great. So
Okay.
join us.
Oh, Sam wants to know what discs you're taking to Mexico.
Yeah, well, no,
Jer?
it's Jer. That's Jer. Yeah,
Jer?
that's how I use, that's my short one. Well, Sam, I've got two. I've got an Aerobi, and that's not a disc, but that's to play on Catch on the Beach. And then I'm bringing a glitch. And the main reason, because there is not a course in the area that I'm staying. I'm going to Huatuco, and if there is a course, I'm sure the people will have some discs there for me to try. But I've got a glitch and a Roby already packed in the bag. They're coming with me. I got to be a little better like Sam and actually plan for a tournament in the country that I'm going
You
to.
always say, thanks, Dylan. You always say, whenever we get a guest on, we're like, oh, you're going on holiday. So is it a kind of a holiday that you plan where there's going to be a disc golf course? Or maybe that, there just happens to be a disc golf. And then you're going on holiday and you didn't plan it where there's a disc golf course.
Well, we're going to have...
Mexico just had an A tier.
I know.
You could have gone, or you could have at least not say that you're going that week.
Well, there's going to be 11 of...
Oh, good point, good point, Dylan. How are you going to keep your streak alive?
Well, Dylan, you are correct. This has been
Oh.
weighing on my mind because I'm now at 2 years. I hit the 2-year mark, but I played Monday at Bonnieville.
Mm-hmm.
That got me my streak. That gets me all the way to the end of the week to Sunday.
Right.
I will be back on Saturday night of the week after. So Sunday I have to go out. I have one window, one day where I can go play around.
Is that how it works?
Yes.
Is it Sunday to Sunday?
It's Monday to Sunday.
Monday to Sunday?
Yep. So I've been thinking about it, Dylan. You're right, because I'm at, I guess, what is that, 52? That's 104 weeks. And I didn't want to lose it because of a trip that I didn't plan well enough to make sure there was a course on it.
Right.
Otherwise, maybe you would have saw like a UDisc beach course that was a pop-up course in Watuco where I've got palm trees that I've set up for 9 holes.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody's going to come down and say, what is this thing?
Yeah.
That was Jeremy trying to get a round in.
Yeah.
But that's a good call, Dylan. So I will be good. So when I get back on Sunday, probably heading to Langholm, get around.
There you go.
But yeah. But
Good
until
enough.
then, what do we got, Daryl? How are we going to end these ones? You got the around the basket thing?
I don't know. We just have to say
Until
next
then,
time.
we hope your putts don't chain out, and we'll see you
Around the basket. Thanks, everybody.